What is happening, my friends? Today, I'm going to be talking to you about an artifact, a tool, a weapon, we can call it that us agents used to have back in the day. And a lot of my colleagues that have been doing this for longer than I have used it many times successfully in the past. And there were many years that it went completely gone. Why? Because the market got better. So this clause basically ceased to exist. I mean, it always existed. It's always an option, but the market was just so hot, so much of a seller's market that putting in this clause for your buyer would have just made people laugh out loud, if you can say that. Now, I'm bringing it back and I'm going to break it down for you because I'm seeing it more and more. It's made a comeback. As the market slowed down, interest rates went up, it's made a comeback, especially I'm seeing it more and more often over the last 12 months. So at the end of this video, I'm actually going to share with you a real life example when I had this clause and I used this clause to my advantage and the buyer's advantage as well. And we were able to close a fantastic deal. So what is this mysterious clause that I'm hyping up right now? What is this blast from the past? It's called an SPP or SBP, sale of the purchaser's property. Now you might have heard of this and it's awesome. Let me explain to you. Let me break it down to you from the point of view of a buyer. So let's say I decide to go and buy a house and I find a property that I absolutely love. It's in a great location, has perfect size, and finally there's something that's in my budget that I can actually afford. Now there's a problem. I have a house and I haven't sold it. It's not even on the market. I don't have a buyer for it. And I need the money from my current home in order to buy this beautiful home that I just found. How can I do it? Now, I don't want to take the risk. I don't want to go ahead and buy this house, commit to it, go in firm, and then my house doesn't sell because that would just be horrible. I can't afford that. So I can use this SPP clause. I can put a condition in my offer as a buyer that says something along these lines. It says, I'm buying your property, but I have my house on 123 Main Street. And I need to make this offer conditional on me selling such property. If I don't sell my property within 30 or 60 days, the term is usually negotiated, then this offer that we've agreed upon is null and void. And I get my deposit back. So essentially, I'm telling you, hey, I'm buying your property. I'm giving you X price, but this offer is going to be conditional on me selling my house. And if I can't sell my house during a time period that we've negotiated, then I can walk away from the deal and you can't do anything. There's no repercussions for me. It's perfectly legal. I can walk away from the house. So this works for me as a buyer really well because I'm able to lock down a house that I like. And this is very important. Because a lot of times buyers, when they're upsizing or they're downsizing, they're just moving. One of the fears is, well, I'm not going to find what I like. I'm going to sell my house, but what if I don't find something that's worth the move, something that I like? In this case, by using this clause, you've kind of fixed that. You're able to lock down the house. So me as a buyer, I'm able to tie down on a house that I like and get the advantage of removing the risk from selling my own home. Because if I can't sell it because the market is, let's face it, not that great, then I can just walk away and nothing happened. Now, this sounds great. And you might be thinking, well, why don't people use this more often? But another thing is that you might be thinking is, well, what's the advantage for the seller? Why would the homeowner take this? Why would a homeowner lock their home for 30, 60, 90 days, waiting for you as a buyer, Eddie, waiting for you to sell your own home? And what if you can't sell it? What if you change your mind? What if you walk away from it? Then the homeowner is just left holding the bag. They don't have anything. Well, here's how this condition can actually work for both the buyer and the seller. Because the condition is usually accompanied by what's called an escape clause. So the seller and the seller's agent will always or should always negotiate an escape clause. And the escape clause says something along the lines of the following. It says that the seller can continue to advertise the property for sale So the seller can continue to have the property on the MLS. The agent can continue to host open houses, advertise the property. So essentially, they can continue looking for another buyer. And if they find another buyer and they accept an offer from such buyer, they will give notice to me, buyer number one, and they will give me usually a period of 48 hours for me to decide whether I will firm up on the house or I will walk away. So let me break it down to you again, because I know it's a little bit complicated. So I am buyer one. Buyer number one. I find the house, fall in love with it. We put in an offer. I have to sell my house. So I say, hey, I'm going to give you X amount of money, but it's conditional on me selling my house, because I can't close on this if I don't sell it. And I'm not sure I'm going to sell it. The market's kind of, you as a homeowner, you accept my offer, right? But you include a escape clause. And you say in your escape clause, sure, Eddie, we'll accept your offer, but we are going to continue to advertise the property for sale. And if another buyer comes along and it brings us an offer that's acceptable to us as sellers, then we will accept that offer, but we'll give you 48 hours to remove your condition to firm up, or you can walk away from it. So essentially, if myself as buyer number one decides that I'm going to waive my condition and take the risk and still move forward with a deal without selling my current property, then I can do so. So it's a first right of refusal, essentially, for a buyer number one. But if I haven't sold my home and I don't want to take that risk, I'm just going to walk away from it. And buyer number two will now get to keep the house. So you can see that as a homeowner, you also have an advantage, because you accept the offer from buyer number one. Sure, it's conditional on buyer number one selling their home, but you can still continue to aggressively promote your property. You can still continue to find another buyer. And if you find another buyer, you can negotiate a deal with them, give notice to buyer number one. And if buyer number one doesn't firm up, then you now have buyer number two to work with. And if buyer number one says, you know what, I got an offer on my house, I was just working out the final details, I'm going to go ahead and remove my condition, then, well, you just firmed up with buyer number one. So as a seller, you still have options. In theory, it works really, really well. In practice, this type of condition doesn't really work well when it's a seller's market, because if I'm a homeowner and I have so many buyers looking for my home, I really don't need to entertain a buyer that's not ready to go in with a firm offer, or at least an offer without a condition of selling their home. But in a market like today, where it's a little bit slower and the pool of buyers in many segments is reduced, this might be a good tool for me to have as a homeowner as well. Now, one thing to remember, and it's very, very important, that this is on a case-by-case basis. I'm just here to break down what that SPP looks like, because a lot of you might have heard of it, but you have no clue what the details are. So in this video, hopefully I provided a good breakdown of it. But of course, you need to know that it's on a case-by-case basis. An SPP might be favorable for you as a buyer. In some cases it might not. As a homeowner, it might make sense for you to accept an SPP, but in other cases, it might make no sense at all. So always listen to the professional that's guiding you and make a very informed decision. Now, let me end this video by sharing a real life example on one of my listings that I just sold. And we used an SPP as a tool for our sellers. And how did this happen? We had a buyer that came through the property and they loved the home. The buyer was represented by another realtor. The realtor told me, hey, listen, they really like the house, but we have not been able to sell their home. Their home is actually on the market, but we haven't sold it yet. Market is slow, whatever the reasons might be, the home hadn't sold. So I encouraged them to put in an offer conditional on the buyer selling that home. We negotiated a great price. My seller accepted the offer, knowing that we would continue to promote her home to other potential buyers. The buyer was happy because at the end of the day, they loved the home and they were able to secure the home. They were able to secure a price for it. And it gave them clarity in order for them to move forward selling their current home. However, for me as a listing agent, I started to get into work and I actually found a second buyer. And that second buyer did not have a house to sell. And that second buyer was very motivated to put in an offer on my property because they knew if they didn't act at any moment, the first buyer with the first offer can just sell their home and firm up, and now the home would not be theirs. So they put in a very good offer. We negotiated very strong terms with buyer number 2. And once the offer was accepted by my seller, we notified buyer number 1. Buyer number 1 was heartbroken, which sucks. They weren't able to remove the condition because their home still hadn't sold and they didn't want to take that risk. And the house now belongs to buyer number 2. So for my seller, it was great because she was able to lock in a deal when she had none. And she was able to use that deal as leverage for the second buyer. And in the end, it worked out for everyone. It worked out for the buyers. It worked out for the sellers. And we were all happy. So you might not even know that things such as an SPP exist and are available. So I hope this brings clarity and you have more knowledge about what an SPP is, a sale of a purchaser's property. And if you have any questions and if you like this video, please follow, please subscribe, and let me know in the comments.